Ladies and gentlemen, Never Riding presents an interview with a builder. Nah, that sucks. That sucks. I don't like that at all. Oh my gosh, this is my second interview, and I want this to be right. I want this to be good. Let me try this again. Ladies and gentlemen, Eastgate family and friends, hooligans around the world, I address you from center stage on YouTube right now tonight. I got one of my favorite builders online to talk with us about not just building a skateboard deck, but about building our family, our community, our sport. And thank you for everyone who decided to join me and watch this. Share it with a friend. Letting you know right now, custom decks is only half the story, people. This man has a plethora of knowledge, skills, and passion, more importantly, to help drive our sport forward. So sit back with me and let's listen to the wisdom of a wise man named Tommy Boy. Some last minute things set up.
Right on. Well, you were
cool. There you go. Oh my God, got you on live.
Yeah, man. It's nice to be here talking with you.
Matter of fact, speaking of which, hi, I'm Never Riding, and we're here today with Tommy Boy from Tommy Boy E-Skates. He makes custom boards. I like riding custom boards, and we're here to talk about E-Skate Con. We're here to talk about electric skateboards and just all things e-skate in general.
Here in Tommy Boy headquarters, my house, with my two assistants on the couch with me. That's Maylin over there. Right behind me, I have two. This guy over here is actually Sir Percival Belly Robbins.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's nice to be here talking with you.
Nice to be talked to. Nice to talk with you. Percy on the background. Who's the other one?
This one's Percy, and the other one's May, right over there.
Okay, May. I have Prince Winter Crystals, and he'll be around sooner or later bugging me, I'm sure.
Prince Winter Crystals?
Prince Winter Crystals. It's a long story. So, how you been, man? How's everything going?
Been good, man. Been busy. I do the skateboard making, and I also take some classes because I'm trying to finish up a degree that I started like 27 years ago. So I've got kind of crunch time going on with that too. So it's been busy. It's been pretty fun, crazy.
So
yeah. Oh man, Eastgate Con was a riot. That was a good time.
Eastgate Con was amazing. It was breathtaking. It changed my life in a way.
Right on, man.
It was very spiritual. It was a great time.
You and your son got out on some really nice rides. You even got out and doubled down on them a little bit.
Yeah. And next year, we're really trying to go for the week.
I'd like to be able to do something like that next year as well. I actually didn't get out on any of the rides because I was just so busy and then exhausted after all of it that I didn't get a chance to really partake in any of that. But if I'd like to get out next year for like a week and make it such that I can actually get in on some riding and like that, that'd be great.
The Strip is nice. Red Rock is nice. The city is nice. And I just really wanted to roll around the city, drink a coffee, sit back, roll some more, drink a coffee. So I'm looking forward to that next year, just to assimilate myself into the environment. I want to do some sunset rides, some sunrise rides. We were up there on Red Rock. It was 5 of us, and it was actually snowing on us while we were riding.
Oh, really? Yeah. It was cooler this year in the Vegas area. It's windy too. God, setting up tents for the vendors and like that, they're like blowing away simultaneously. So I set up my tent early in the morning on Saturday. We went and kind of claimed our space on Friday evening.
Okay.
But it was so windy that no one could set up tents at all at that point. So we came back the next morning, first thing, set up the tent, got everything together, had everything sandbagged down so that it wouldn't blow away. Like I kept on having to gather up stickers. They were flying all over the place.
Hey, I'm sure they were. How many boards did you bring with you?
I had 8 different boards. I think I have 9 in the collection right now online, but I think I had 8 different boards with me that were just like the bare bone boards for people to check out. And then I think I had 4 or 5 of my demo rides there for people to look at full builds and such.
So your decks are really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I love the simplicity of showing the green. Exactly. Wood. How many layers of wood do you have?
So basically, it just depends on the rider. I make them all to order for the individual rider. Like if you're a big guy and you want a stiff deck, I'll up it to like 10 pi if I need to. If you're a little guy and wants a flexi deck, I'll go down to 7 if I need to. All the decks are made from bamboo and you reinforce fiberglass, carbon fiber on the top and bottom. And I use both the fiberglass and the ply in order to manipulate the flex of the deck. So it's all to order for the individual. But really high quality. I've vetted all my materials. I've honed the specific techniques that I use and all that stuff. They started off
Your
like
molding is wood.
I do all my own pressing. I do the finish work and all that. I appreciate it that you take a moment to stop by and take a look at my stuff, guys.
That in the sunlight.
But they're durable. I do all the inserts for you too, you know what I mean? So like if you buy an enclosure from me and add it to the deck, I do the inserts so you don't have to bother with that. All nice professional inserts that are super durable and rugged. They don't come popping out.
How long is this?
That deck right there is 43 inches. Make a few different sizes of different things like that. Like that's a 44-inch deck over there. I got a 38-inch drop deck over there. The mountain boards, they have different, like the big differences between, for the most part, is the angles at the ends, but some of them have a little bit of W to them, you know, right through the center, whereas like this one doesn't have any W going through the center.
Okay.
It's just up to you and what your foot shape is and what you want to get going on with that. I like a little bit of W because I have like a medium-sized arch, something like that in my foot. It helps lock you in. So for instance, like these decks right here, all 4 of these ones work with the first 4 enclosures I have over there. So if you were to be doing a double stack or if you wanted to have a flexible enclosure, I do all of that. And these are all Kydex thermoformed enclosures. I do them in-house. They're not brittle like ABS's.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
That was the first thing I was checking.
I do them in-house too, and I do them thermoformed instead of doing like a fiberglass because I can just make them a little less expensive for people. Make it so you can spend your money on the deck, not here enclosures for like $350, and I'm like, whew, that's an expensive enclosure, not even installed, you know?
That's your personal?
That one is a friend of mine's, and that's not my deck. I didn't make that one.
Oh, okay.
That's my personal deck right there. That's my personal deck right there. And that little guy right there, that's my personal deck right there. I rode my off-road and also just my surf skater.
Rob.
So your decks are really beautiful.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I put a lot of work into them, man. I really do.
It works of art. I literally, out of everything from Eastgate Con, it's one of the main things I've been dreaming about and fantasizing about. Like, man, I just wish I had one somewhere in this house that I could pick up and say, yeah, this is mine. I love that white one that I got to stand on. I think you said that was 44 inches.
44 inches. That was the Odashi right there that you stood on. Someone actually bought that at Eastgate Con. That one.
Did they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that specific deck. I mean, you can always have another one made though.
Congratulations to whoever bought the Adachi. You got a great board. I love your board.
Got a good deal on it too. I gave him a good deal. Lucky guy.
Yeah, I wasn't going to ask because I would go broke, man. I would go broke.
Well, I run sales. I'll probably have one coming up later in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm in school and doing some school things and like that. So as soon as I wrap that up and I have a little bit more time for making the decks, I'm probably going to have a sale. So keep your eye out. Probably be in the 10 to 15% off range.
Okay. Do you have any ambassadors or people pushing your products and endorsement codes and all that type of stuff?
Not quite yet. Yeah, it's all stuff that's kind of in the working. I've been so intensely working on refining the product.
Uh-huh.
And it's like I've kind of recently made it to that point where I feel like I've got it to a highly refined level and such. So it's time to start stepping it up to that type of thing, like getting involved with racing and sponsorship in that department, trying to find some ambassadors that want to get into selling the boards and like that. It is a little bit different game because they are DIY decks.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like it's you either have to have the skill to build one out, or you have to know someone that can do it for you. Or there's a bunch of people out on the web that do this type of thing too. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different, but I'm working on it. The marketing is definitely something I'm going to be working on this summer. I'd like to get some more like just I don't know, get some more exposure by way of that if I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely you need a team. We need more Tommy Boy boards out there in the world, and we need you to concentrate on creating and not, make sure the quality control is there.
Oh, definitely, always.
Anna needs some elves, we need to get some elves.
Yeah, well, for right now, one of the best marketing tools I have is just sending out a good product to every customer that buys one. So I'm pretty committed to that. They're made one at a time for each customer as they purchase it, and trying to just make sure that they get the toy that they want. I think it's pretty cool. So it's a privilege and it's a lot of fun to be a part of helping someone make their dream toy. You know what I mean? Because that's oftentimes what I'm involved with. They're not just doing it as some kind of like slapdash project or something. It's something they've put a lot of time and thought into, and they're it's something they're really excited about. And it's really a privilege and a lot of fun being a part of that.
Yeah, no, I concur. I agree 100%. We live through our customers. We live vicariously through our fans. I still don't know what I enjoy more, watching people ride or actually riding myself.
Yeah, I like them both.
Yeah, it was like the races were just so intense and crazy to watch.
Yeah, man. EastgateCon, I was really interested in the races. That was one of the things I really wanted a chance to research and look at this year. Last year was a very small, just kind of a fun race. This year was a much more serious event that they put together, more serious track. Very serious racers showed up to compete like that. I made sure that I got my vendor tent was like just along the racetrack so that I could see things nicely and like that. It was fun watching that. It really was. And then to see how Amped went about doing they were commentating it, and then also there was the drone footage and various different things like that. So that it was really well recorded and such. So you can take some time and look at it, online.
Yeah, they did an excellent job. The different angles, the drone footage, it was like, man, this is like MotoGP here. This is great,
The skill sets of the racers have come a long way, over like just the last few years. The way they make their corners, how clean they are about it, and then also like the type of setups that the racers are using. You notice everybody on the podium for the pros was pretty much sporting the Stooge race board. I would love to see like the drone footage being done with some of the uphill races that they do. Those would be kind of epic to see a drone follow them and like that. All the background scenery and such. Like they just did the Mary Hills race, and I'm wondering if they did any drone footage of that. The skill sets of the racers have come a long way, over like just the last few years. The way they make their corners, how clean they are about it, and then also like the type of setups that the racers are using. You notice everybody on the podium for the pros was pretty much sporting the Stooge race board.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty hot. It was pretty hot.
Yeah, but second and third place were stock Hurricanes and some other DIY stuff that
man, for the sportsman Johnny Mooney took it with a DIY that he had put together and like that, and he really blew it away. He did a good job on that one.
Bradley Hall was on a stock Hurricane with 120 cloud wheels, and he held on to first place for 2 laps.
I remember that.
And I'm like, he said he was sliding all over the place. And I'm like, dude, you were? But you were sliding into first place. You kept sliding in the first place. So, that whole drifting style that you were stumbling upon, there might be something to it because you were doing a heck of a job, Mr. Bradley. You would.
Takes skill to do it.
Yes.
Sliding around those corners, drifting it, and like that definitely takes skill.
Yeah, and that's until I get my drift techniques better, I didn't feel as though it would have I would have been a speed bump out on that racetrack compared to everybody else. I don't know. I don't think I'm that fast yet. But this year, I'm going to practice. I'm going to practice my techniques, my form, keeping things smooth, slow and steady wins the race. And I can't wait till next year. Can't wait.
A lot of fun. I wonder if they're going to do the same venue next year, or if they're going to change it up.
They're going to have to change the venue. It's going to be too big for where they were just. It was we weren't cramped. There was great space.
Yeah.
But next year, I really hope this thing is 3 times as big as it was.
I think there's going to be more vendors next year, and so they could definitely use some more vendor space next year.
Right.
That would be important.
More.
It'd be nice to see.
Where's that take place at?
That one's in California, I believe. It's a pretty well-known downhill race, and I guess one of the things that the Eastgate racers are trying to do is kind of pair up with those races and do an uphill Eastgate race.
Okay.
Combination with the downhill race, because if you're closing down the road and such, you might as well get some use out of it. There were some cool things like the raffle this year was intense.
Yeah.
There were all kinds of raffle prizes, like crazy expensive stuff, entire decks, really nice stuff.
At least $10,000 worth of skateboards.
Mm-hmm. And then the prizes likewise for the racers were really nice. They were getting full on skateboards too. It was just great, man. It's a good reason to go, just because you might be able to get yourself a skateboard for $1.
I'm really looking forward to racing next year. My skateboard should get here tomorrow. I'm going to practice. I'm going to set up some cones and practice.
The Tommy Boy Eastgate team is starting to come into effect. I'm starting to talk to some racers, and I've also been working on a specific race board for doing like track racing and stuff.
Great.
So I'm excited to get that going, and then also to get some racers, and hopefully next year when I'm there, and Tommy Boy Eastgate race team will be in full effect.
That's a major announcement right there.
Yeah, man. It's still kind of a dream. It's something I'm working on, but it's coming together.
So how people apply? Just inbox you, DM you?
Well, for now it's pretty small, and I'm going with people that are kind of local to me, so I can work with them directly on both the prototype testing and the prototype testing, and then also just kind of doing the racing, training for it and preparing for it and such.
Okay.
So I've kind of got some racers in mind. I'm doing my own scouting, I guess I would say for that right there.
Smart. That's smart.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty busy. It's still a one-man show over at Tommy Boy Eastgate. You know what I mean? So I'm busy making the skateboards, designing things, working with people that want to have custom stuff done right now. It's kind of a big deal. And then hopefully getting a skateboard, the team put together for doing some racing and like that would be a lot of fun. Beyond just making my own team, though, I definitely would like to just participate in trying to make Eastgate racing bigger. You know what I mean? I think it has some... It's got some appeal. I think it's something that people could have some fun getting into and watching.
Yeah.
In terms of doing track racing, uphill racing, even doing some off-road racing and like that would be great.
Right.
And so Tommy Boy is trying to get involved with those types of things, try to help bring those up and like that. I always say to people, like I was watching ESPN2 the other day and they had pogo stick on, and right after that they had cornhole.
Oh, snap.
What I mean? And so like, why couldn't they have Eastgate racing on as well? I think it films well, especially with the drone footage and all that stuff. They need to be getting Eastgate racing on ESPN. You know what I mean? I don't think we're far from it.
I'm with you. I'm trying to figure out a way to make this more global and bigger, you
First
can.
off, I mean, you always got to keep things simple. That's,
Yeah.
that's always like my rule is try to figure out the simplest way of doing things, most practical usually, and that's why it works out. And then talk to racers. Talk to racers. You saw who the good racers were and like that. Try to talk to them and see what they think would be fun, like a great way of doing it. What have they been dreaming up and thinking about? Because I guarantee they've been doing some obsessing about what the future of e-skate racing could look like.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's based on what the kind of racing they want to do, and then and also what's easy to watch. That's always like a big part of it.
Exactly. The logistics, dirt racing, asphalt racing, drag racing, different categories would start to grow. There's some races that are going on, but they don't have any asphalt, so they're going to be doing some dirt races.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, like the ones where you can actually see the track with a camera all in one view is
Right.
kind of like the ones that'll grow pretty quick too, because they'll be the easiest ones to film for showing on YouTube or television in the future and things like that. I mean, I liken it to billiards. I don't know if you've ever watched billiards on television, but it's
Yeah.
almost always 9-ball. And the reason it's almost always 9-ball is because it's easy for the viewer to watch it. You know what I mean? Like 8-ball, there's balls all over the place. You don't know what the player's going to do next. But 9-ball, it's 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? You keep on
Right.
going through the balls in the rack, and so it's easier for people to watch. And those types of things need to be considered when you're thinking of what kind of racing to really focus on as well. Is what races are easier to watch and for a viewer to consume and understand and things like that. All that comes into play. I'm really excited to see how it all unfolds. You know what I mean? And I'm excited to participate. Is
Yeah.
really where I'm at. Like that's an exciting thing, just even like in the last year, watching as races start popping up and such. Internationally, I know it's really big. In Europe, they're big into the e-skate races. In Australia, they're really into the e-skate races. I know they just had a pretty big one down there that was like all through the city of one of the major cities and such.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of video of it. It happened like last week, so like there's gonna be a lot of video of it popping up. What I've seen of it so far was pretty cool. Like the scenery as they go through the city is really cool. I know
Yeah.
they did e-skate, they did like EUC and some different races.
That would be sick, to have like a city route. And in Philadelphia, we have an area called Kelly Drive, and we used to host the biggest bicycle race before the Tour de France. It was called the Core State Race. Right, riding through the city would be crazy. If they could race through the city instead of just the racetrack, like those Formula One races where you block off the city streets. Yeah, that would be huge. Oh my gosh, that would be huge. I like the idea of that. I like that. Got to come up with a better.
Improve upon it, sure.
Yeah, there's room for improvement. There you go. There's definitely some room for improvement. You're blocking the Tommy boy. This is Prince Winter Crystals.
Ah, there it is. Prince Winter Crystals. I was starting to wonder if it was a cat.
Yeah.
It's on the name too. So I was like, where was it, a dog or a cat? That answers my question. You got a cat going on. Prince Winter Crystals.
Winter Crystals daily.
I'll tell you what, summer's almost upon us here and like that. I've got this race board project that I'm working on. I'm pretty gung-ho about. And then I'm also working on some new kicktail decks, just kind of some fun recreational cruisers and stuff. I want to make like a really big kicktail, something that you could put a big battery underneath and kind of take out and do just a long ride on it.
Gotcha.
And then I'm also working on kind of like a penny board style e-skate deck as well for people that want to make something really mini.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are kind of my project. I have one kicktail in my collection right now, the Murder Hornet, and it's got a pretty nice little cult following for it and such. But I love a good kicktail, so I want to make a few extras to add to the collection.
Always wondered what it would be like. Ever since my first electric skateboard, what would it be like to have a kicktail electric skateboard? Because going from kick to longboard, it's like, well, how do you steer this thing? I can't kick it around.
Yeah, so you got to get used to that and like that. For me, I'll always have probably two e-skates, one that's a little bit more oriented towards going out on group rides, like a roadster that can handle some mileage and speed and such.
Right.
But then I'll also always have a little kicktail cruiser for getting around the neighborhood. There's a lake near me that I can go out on a circle around and like that, and just kind of scope out the view and such, enjoy the weather and like that. So I love me a kicktail. They're so fun. I've got mine set up, my own personal kicktail. I've got set up with some surf skate trucks on it and such. So it's really squirrely, a lot of fun. It's not really good for going fast on, but it's really maneuverable, and just like if you want to go dropping off curves and like that, it's great. It's great.
I rode a surf skate for the first time last summer, and I've heard people talk about it for years.
Mhm.
You talking and standing is two different worlds. When you
Yeah.
stand on this thing, it's like your first time standing on double kingpin trucks. It's
Now,
like,
did you do like the waterborne adapters, or did you do like what kind of a surf skate setup was it?
I just met a random dude down at the beach, and we
Alright.
both looked at each other and said, "What is that?" Because he was carving and keeping up with me and my son,
Sure,
and we're
sure.
like, "Dude, where's your remote?" And he's like, "What's a remote? How are you guys keeping up with me and you're not carving or kicking?" So it was a great exchange, and you literally can to just keep carving to create momentum on that thing. I love it.
No, I had I started off just doing regular kick skate and then like that, and I'd always loved these surf skate trucks from Carver, and Carver's like they're like world renowned surf skate truck maker and like that. They're like the boss of that, and I wanted to be able to make an e-skate with it, but the back trucking like that's a little bit different than what you could normally than what you can put your motor mounts on and like
Right.
that. So a few years back, Loaded and Unlimited came out with these hubs that you could just put on just about any truck. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh man, I'm making it happen!" So I made myself a surf skate deck using Carver trucks and some hubs and like that. And it's perfect as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
You can't do it better when it comes to kicktail decks.
Yeah.
For me, anyhow. For me.
And that's a beautiful thing about our sport. It's all about personal preference.
And I mean, I've always been a DIYer since the beginning. It's just kind of like the way my brain is made.
When you started making the decks for eSkate, is that when you started using different formulas as far as carbon and fiberglass and all that? Or were you always using?
I've been using fiberglass and carbon fiber since way back when I first started doing it. And like that, I found tutorials for doing it. And so I started doing that way back then. But with eSkate, I've really, I guess, what's the right word for it? I've really come to exploit those things quite a bit. You know what I mean? Just to kind of give people different custom flexes.
Right.
Because that's another thing about e-skaters. I mean, regular skateboarders used to be all like 150 to 175 pounds. You know what I mean? Everybody was kind of lightweight for that. But as we get into e-skating and such, you got people that are up in the 250-pound range and like that, contacting me, asking me about the flex of my boards. And you can't accommodate those types of things with just like 3 different flexes. You kind of have to take them one at a time and see and kind of consider the weight of your rider, what kind of flex they want, and what kind of trucks they're going to be using, some various things like that, and then go ahead and give them a custom flex.
When do you have to change the bonding glue depending on the fiberglass or the carbon fiber? Does everything bond with the same, or?
Yeah, it's a little bit different as you go through it and like that. I mean, at the heart of all my decks is bamboo. I've got a good bamboo supplier, and I really like using bamboo veneer to make decks. It has a great flex pattern, and then it's also extremely strong too, especially when paired with things like fiberglass or carbon fiber, basalt, those types of fabrics. You can really make them strong. With the bamboo, for the most part, what I use is just a very high quality wood glue to put that all together, put it in the press, after it gets cut. You know, I bring it out of the press, cut it out and like that, and then comes the laminate portion. And for those, I use three different types of epoxy to do that process and such. And the epoxy sticks to wood quite well, you know, so that bonds right to the outside very nicely. And so, like, you know, there's all kinds of different stuff you can do with DIY, but if you just want to get yourself a pre-made deck and have some fun, whatever, it doesn't matter, you know, just so long as it's safe and like that, have a ball.
I actually want to take one of your decks and just put some kick push trucks on there, no motor or anything, and just cruise, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they'd be good for that. Definitely. Personally, if I were to do that, I'd probably make them a little bit thinner for that, just so you don't have to reach out as far. I make them fatter for e-skaters because they tend to stand a little bit sideways, more like they're snowboarding for the most part. And then also making it fatter makes it so you can have a bigger enclosure with more batteries in it. Also on e-skate, since you're not pushing, you don't have to reach out to the side with your foot and push. So it doesn't really matter if you make it wider. But to do a real push deck, I'd probably make them all probably an inch thinner, just so it's like just not as hard to reach out to the side and doesn't put you off balance as much.
Like you said, the foot placement and the balance is different.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons I got into making e-skate decks is because I just noticed that there were some things that e-skaters needed over what the regular skate decks provided for them. And so I was like, oh, you know, that's a good little niche. Maybe I'll go ahead and make some e-skate decks. I mean, I started making skateboards, I think probably about 8 years ago. And I've been skateboarding for a long time, but then I came across this project making one on your own and such. And I got addicted to it. You know what I mean? And so I've been making my own skateboards, my own toys for quite some time. And then e-skate started to blow up. And it made sense. It was just kind of, I was like, oh man, well, I'm going to add motors to these. You know what I mean? And then I got interested in making skateboards specifically for e-skaters, and the rest has been kind of history. Give me a second. I got someone at the door. I'll be right back.
Okay, no rush.
How are you today? I got some dogs. Yeah, no problem. Excellent. Thank you so much. You have a good day. Oh my, oh my. I got a new toy. Got a new remote for my deck. Yeah. Wanted to try out one of the new cool toys that everybody's been talking about on the forums.
Which one is it?
So this is the Zemote. So it's a basic remote. Like that's kind of like what it's all about is that it's not like a super fancy remote, but the quality is super high. And also he's got a trigger rendition of it that he does. He also has the thumb wheel rendition, and he's doing kind of an evolved style.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's the one with the dual trigger, like brake and throttle.
Yeah. And he's got a cool little light kit on this thing as well. So like, I mean, it doesn't have a battery in it yet. I got to buy a battery. It was internationally sent, and I think it just makes it easier to get it through customs if it doesn't have a battery in it. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, it looks pretty cool. It's got like a little light kit in it too, so it does like light shows.
How's the screen?
What's that?
How's the screen?
It doesn't have a screen. That's kind of like the thing about this is that it's just kind of simple, doesn't have a screen. So many people are working with some kind of little computer on their boards nowadays that they don't need a little screen on the remote.
Yeah.
You know, and like that. So that's kind of like the plus side of this is that it doesn't have that type of data communication. It's just kind of simple.
Right.
And it's like it only bonds to like one receiver so far as I know, and it's pre-bonded to that. So like that really helps to ensure that you don't have any interference with other remotes and like that. And that's really important. You know, I mean, when I was in Vegas, I was noticing that my remote was having some little glitches and like that. I have a really common DIY remote that I was using previously, and I think there were a lot of people there with it. And so it was kind of causing some problems and such. So I looked into this for that reason as well. It looks cool. I'm excited to give it a shot. The Zemote.
Definitely looks cool.
Yeah. No, yeah, it does look cool. It feels really solid, super solid.
And you can use that with a vest?
Yep, it's vest compatible. Yeah. Very interesting. Very
How much,
interesting.
how much does it run?
This thing was only like $80,
Okay.
which isn't that bad. That's another cool thing about it. You know, it's just $80. It's good. I really like the trigger and like that. It's got good throw to it. It's nice.
Yeah.
I like it. We'll see what that's all about. So what got you into e-skate? I'm just curious. I'm always
okay.
curious as to how people got into it.
What had happened was the short version goes, my daughter wanted a skateboard for Christmas, just a kick push.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I got it for her. This is it right here.
That's the one right there.
And but she's going to college soon, and I knew she was going to, need to get from one side of the world to the other pretty quickly. I was already interested in the boosted boards, but at the time they were 1,500, and I needed three: one for me, one for her, one for my son. That's
Yeah.
$4,500, and
Yeah.
I just was like, that's not going to happen, So about 2 or 3 years later, when she asked for this, I decided to go online and see if the prices had dropped. I knew Boosted had went out of business, so and there were a lot of Chinese knockoffs and stuff popping up. So the prices were right, and I was able to get 3 boards on a Black Friday sale. And the best look ever was when she opened it up on Christmas morning. She gave me 2 thumbs up. She was like, that was a good one. It was a good one. Like, okay, all right.
It was pretty natural for me because I mean, of the skateboarding for one, but also when I was a kid, like my brothers and my cousins and I, we used to play around with RC cars.
Yeah.
And such, like we'd get kind of like the fancy DIY ones and work on them and such. Just the idea of making even before they even started making e-skates, I've always been dreaming of e-skates.
Exactly.
I've been like, man, like it's someday we're gonna have these things motorized with a remote control, and it's gonna be like riding on your RC car, and it's gonna be so cool.
Yes. Between skateboarding and going to the beach, boogie boarding, and trying to surf, I've just always been a boarder, snowboarder, snowboarding. If it's a board, I'm on it.
That's kind of the way I am too.
Yeah, and I know you remember back in the day they used to have those gas powered skateboard or scooters.
Yeah, I remember those. I remember. Yeah, I do.
And I like those, but they were just too loud. And
Stinking loud.
They were too loud, and I wanted one. I never got a chance to ride one, but I was like, man, if they could just do that, but on a skateboard, I'd be happy. And then boom, they finally invented it. And it was like, oh yeah, I need that. I need all of that. I need all of that. So my first electric skateboard was the Backfire Zealot and belt drive. It was great. Second generation, put some 105 Cloud wheels on there. Had a ball, felt like I was unstoppable. I was rolling over a lot of things, and that was great. But I wasn't getting the range that I wanted, so I grabbed a Sex Panther, and that was giving me a good 30, 35, 40 miles of range. And I was like, okay, cool. But now I need just a little bit more range, because like that would get me there, but that wouldn't get me home. So I needed, double whatever that was, so I could get to where I gotta go and come home. And that's why I picked up the M Boards Endurance, and it comes tomorrow. I'm waiting for that thing, but that should give me 100 miles on a single charge, 100 miles of range.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and when you add Cloudwheel Rovers to your belt drive board, it cancels out the motor dragging, and really makes your board free roll. So the Rovers will increase your mileage, and I'm hoping, long story short, I'm hoping that I can squeeze 100 miles, and I'm pretty sure I will. I'm calling it a Quest for 100. I have this 70-mile ride that I want to do, and I'm definitely looking to get 100 miles out of that board. I'm hoping for more than that, it's going to be tough. If I could get 140, that would be perfect. And that's, I know that sounds crazy. 140 miles on a single charge.
I don't know. You sound like every other e-skater. I want more distance. I want more.
I'm really an endurance junkie. Like I ride motorcycles. The most I rode was like 1,600 miles in a day. I rode from Philly to Florida and then back up to Myrtle Beach.
That's wild. That's
Yeah.
a long ride. It's a lot of time on a bike.
I like distance. I like going out all day. That's what appeals to me most. And even, you know what? Even when I would kick push, I would kick push like 5-10 miles. I wasn't doing kick flips. I wasn't ollieing. I wasn't grinding. It's always been about transportation. Skateboards has always been the cheapest form of transportations that I could afford as a kid. And that's what got me into it. You know, you want to go to your friend's house? No problem. I'll be there in 20 minutes.
And you can carry your skateboard into every store, the restaurant, the bar, whatever. You don't have to park it outside. You don't have to chain it up to anything, you know, any of that business.
All my bikes got stolen. I had so many bikes get stolen as a kid because you go in and grab that soda, you come out and you see somebody riding off on your bike, and that is a hurt piece, you know. But
Yeah. I had a nice bike in my 20s, and I came back to find just the wheel there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I had accidentally changed it up wrong. I was just in a hurry. And man, I mean, like all you gotta do is screw up once and your bike's gone in the city. Like there's people just sitting and wait.
They watch you. They know you. Start watching your time. You know, oh, he comes here every day on Wednesday, 9 o'clock. No problem. I got it. So yeah, that's how I got into skateboards. Got, you know, ever since I was a kid, 9 years old, I got my first skateboard, and it's never stopped. When I got married, it was like, hey, honey, I need a skateboard. And I still got that same one. Oh, here she goes. Yeah, this is my baby right here.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I love this thing.
It's actually been a while since I've ridden a popsicle stick.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's like the wheels are so small.
the funny thing about this one is I had this great idea that if you use Velcro instead of just gluing your grip tape to the board, then if you want it, you can just replace the grip tape whenever you want, you know? Just pop it off, slap it on. Yeah, and I mean, like as you can see, I'm trying with all my might to get it off. It ain't just going to come off.
Got the heavy duty.
Yeah. So, I was like, yeah, you know, if I do this to all my grip tape, I can just make it look like I got a brand new skateboard every time I go outside. And it definitely adds like a layer of comfort, a layer of
a little squish to it.
Yeah, a little squish to it, a little shock absorption. So,
I think I was thinking that, you know, e-skate, even though e-skates certainly cost a lot more than a push skate, there's still some of that same purity to it, you know, where once you have your e-skate or your skateboard, all you got to do is head out the front door, and it's like the world's your oyster. You can, you know, the world's your playground. You can go and do whatever you want. Whereas like I like to snowboard, and I live in Colorado, in Denver, and it's not a very far drive to get up to some world-class slopes and like that. But you got to spend all kinds of money on gas to get up to the mountains. Then you got to spend all kinds of money on a lift ticket, and they are expensive nowadays. Very expensive, you know what I mean? And so it's like this entire day-long event where you spend a bunch of time stuck in traffic, getting up to the mountains, spending money on gas and all that business. And it's been all kinds of money up there and such, and the food up there is ridiculously expensive as well.
And the funny thing is, when you get up to those slopes, got your lift ticket, and then you get on the snow, and you're like, this is artificial.
Yeah, it's just not a good snow day.
This isn't even good. Yeah, exactly.
Well, whereas skateboarding, you know, once you got it, all you got to do is head out.
Open that front door, and the world is your oyster.
Yep. And if the weather's bad, no harm, no foul. You didn't spend any extra money. You know what I mean? And I think that specific purity is what got me into regular skateboarding and then e-skating. as it went. You know what I mean? Just the fact that once you got your machine or your toy or whatever, there's nothing more to it than just heading out and having a good old time.
Yeah, you're completely correct on that one.
Yeah, well, for right now, one of the best marketing tools I have is just sending out a good product to every customer that buys one.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty committed to that. They're made one at a time for each customer as they purchase it, and trying to just make sure that that they get the toy that they want. I think it's pretty cool. So it's a privilege, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of helping someone make their dream toy. You know what I mean? Because that's oftentimes what I'm involved with. They're not just doing it as some kind of like slapdash project or something. It's something they've put a lot of time and thought into, and it's something they're really excited about. And it's really a privilege and a lot of fun being a part of that.
No, I concur. I agree 100%. Just we live through our customers. We live vicariously through our fans. I still don't know what I enjoy more, watching people ride or actually riding myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I like them both. I like them both. Fun. I wonder if they're going to do the same venue next year, or if they're going to change it up.
They're going to have to change the venue. It's going to be too big for where they were just. It was we weren't cramped. There was great space.
Yeah.
But next year, I really hope this thing is 3 times as big as it was.
I think there's going to be more vendors next year, and so they could definitely use some more vendor space next year. I feel a little bit more organized about that. That was like my only complaint about Eastgate Con, and for the most part, I just loved it. It was great. It was awesome to have that opportunity to get together with everybody and do that and like that. But my only complaint from a vendor's perspective is that they didn't really have us set up, and they weren't really organized about who's going to have what space or anything like that. Normally, you have that type of thing kind of figured out beforehand, when really it was just kind of a free for all. Like people would just show up and throw their gear somewhere and be like, "This is mine," and so there was some frustration involved with that. But I think they'll probably have that all sorted by next year. I got a feeling they were paying pretty close attention and realized that needed to be a little bit better organized.
300 days to adjust.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, improvements are made every time. The mistakes is just something to learn from. Speaking of mistakes, please, for poops and giggles, tell me some of your biggest mistakes.
Probably the biggest mistake that anybody can make is not wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Make sure to wear a helmet. I'm all for motorcycle helmets with full face guards.
Yeah,
I'm always trying to preach the good word that people be like, they're so big and bulky, and I'm like, that's what I thought too. But after I wore one for a little while, I just got used to it. I just don't care anymore. It doesn't bother me. And I've fallen and hit my head and hadn't gotten a concussion and like that with a big old helmet on, so I'm happy with that. I'm always trying to preach the good word and get people to wear helmets and as much body armor as possible, because when you hit the ground, it hurts.
Yeah, it does.
I had a friend recently break his hip. I had a friend recently break four ribs and tear his spleen, and things like that. So it's a dangerous sport that we engage in, and it's good to invest in some good protective equipment. Don't make that mistake of getting cheap or just not wearing any protective equipment at all.
The thing I like to try and tell people, especially new people getting into the industry, as far as protection goes, is you don't have to buy the most expensive helmet out there. A lot of people are scared. They're like, "Oh, these helmets are expensive." I'm like, dude, you can get last year's helmet on closeout for $30 if you shop around. My first motorcycle helmet I bought was $279. The day I went to buy it, it was on closeout for $35. I bought 5 of them for the same price I was going to buy one. I gave out 2 or 3 to friends, and I still had 2 or 3 in different colors that I could, wear myself. If you go in the closeout section of a lot of these motorcycle websites, you will see $200, $300, $400 motorcycle helmets for less than $100.
Yeah.
I was just talking to this one guy. He was like, "Well, can you be sure of the quality?" I'm like, "Dude, it's a Bell. It's a Bell."
I was going to mention that to you. Is like, it's good to go with a brand that's been around for a while, right? Because they haven't had their pantsuit off for killing everybody. You know what I mean?
Right. Like,
Bell's been around for a long, long time. They've been making all kinds of helmets for all kinds of different sports.
bicycles,
That's the kind of that's the
skateboarding.
brand that I wear, and I also find that they have really good value. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like they aren't that expensive. I think, I mean, yeah, you might spend like $200 for a really nice motorcycle helmet, but it is a really nice motorcycle helmet. You can be assured of that.
Yep. And like I said, get last year's model. It's
Exactly.
going to be on closeout for almost half the price, if not more. And it's never been worn. It's just nobody bought it. So if you happen to be an extra small, you might get it for $2. You want to check that they're Snell, SNEL. There's a SNELL, that they're Snell certified. The other safety rating is DOT. You want it to be DOT certified. And the last one, I think it's ANCI or ANSI. But yeah, ANSI, Dell, Snell, DOT. As long as that motorcycle helmet has those, or any helmet has those certifications in it, you're getting a great helmet. You're getting a helmet that's going to protect you, especially on skateboards. It's way overkill, which is way over safe, which is where you want to be. So
it's hard to do overkill. It's hard to do overkill. You know what I mean? You get hit by a car, nothing's overkill. You fall going 50 miles an hour. I'll tell you what, nothing will be overkill.
Nothing's over. I got a full leather race suit, and I'm so tempted. I mean, I've worn it a few times while riding my skateboard. There's a few more times that I'm like, I really want to put this on today, but I'll just, settle for jeans. But like you said, like there's no such thing as overprotection. But when I'm going out there, I want that overprotection. I have a Shoei, Marc Marquez, 93.
Great helmet. That's a great helmet right there.
Yeah, it's a great helmet. This thing was like $750. I think it was on sale for $750.
That was great because they got all kinds of different visors and all kinds of different like cheek pads you can put in and such. Oh, that's the Shoei? Yeah.
Shoei, tinted visor, super comfortable, no pressure points on the head.
Yeah.
You throw your headphones, your Bluetooth speakers up in there if you want.
That's how I got mine set up. Yep, I got my Bluetooth speakers. It's like a little stereo up in there. I can also like call people from it. Be like, hey Siri, call this one guy that I'm riding with.
That's what I figured.
He just activated my Siri.
I heard her talking. Got to be careful around her.
Yeah. It was great talking to you. It was great talking to you and Eastgate, man.
It was. Yeah. Great meeting you and great talking to you. It really has been.
Yeah, man. I'm such a fan. I could keep you on here talking forever. So I hate to let you go. I really hate to let you go.
Well, I'm always down to do another talk. I appreciate it. If you have more questions or anything like that, just give me a shout.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
got to get you on one of my boards, though. I definitely got to get you on one of my boards one of these times. I'll tell you, one of the best ways to go is grab one of my boards and then have SkyArt Power do the build for you. He's a battery maker, and he's got his own deck that he's made that I make for him, too. It's a great way to go because he's quality. He's got a good name and like that.
But all right, go ahead. Get back to work. Thank you for talking to me. Truly appreciate you, good sir.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, come on. I'm a fan. I just got to let you go.
Well, I'm a fan too. All right.
Thank you.
Keep it real, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Have a good one. And stop.